The Glacier Blanc is a glacier in the French département of Hautes-Alpes. Its name, which means white glacier, derives from the fact that, unlike the nearby Glacier Noir, black glacier, its surface appears pristinely white due to an absence of morainic debris. A glacier that is largely free of such moraines is generally described in French as a Glacier Blanc. Geography. The Glacier Blanc begins on the northern slopes of the most southwesterly of the 4,000ers in the Alps, the 4,102 meters high Barre des Écrins. It is separated from the Glacier Noir to the south by the crest of Crête de l'Ancula, or Crête de l'Ancula, that runs from the Barre des Écrins to the Point du Sera-Sub-Erin. The upper part of the glacier is sometimes named Glacier de l'Enc. Or after this arete. On several older maps this name is used for the whole glacier, with its 5.9 kilometers long tongue. In 2002, the Glacier Blanc is the longest glacier in the Massif des Écrins and the largest in the southern French Alps. Its area of 5.34 square kilometers, 2002, is not, however, as great as that of the Glacier de la Jarose and the Glacier du Mont de Landes, which form a common system. The Glacier Blanc is a typical valley glacier, which initially runs in a curve towards the northeast below the bar, before its tongue turns southeast, becoming an icefall. Its average incline is about 30%, but it is flatter in its central section than on the north slope of the Barre des Écrins or in the icefall of its lower section. The glacier is bounded on its orographically left-hand side by, inter alia, the summits of the Rochefoucauld, 3,730 meters, Pic de Neige Cordier, 3,614 meters, and the Montagne des Agneaux, 3,664 meters. The Crête de l'Ancula forms the southern boundary, running from the Barre des Écrins over Barre Noire, 3,661 meters, Point Matria, 3,664 meters, and Point de la Grande Sanya, 3,660 meters, to the Point du Sera-Sub-Erin, 3,472 meters. Between the peaks that surround the glacial basin are smaller side glaciers that feed the main stream. In its center section, the main stream, excluding side glaciers, of the Glacier Blanc is about 800 to 1,000 meters wide. The greatest depth of ice occurs at the Refuge des Écrins, where it is up to 250 meters deep, some 30 meters less than it was in 1985. The glacier flows at a speed of around 40 meters per year in its central section. In the mid-1980s it moved at 50 meters per year, and at about 30 meters per year near its snout. Its reaction time, i.e., the time that elapses before the foot of the glacier advances or retreats due to major changes in conditions in the accumulation zone, is about 6 years in the case of the Glacier Blanc, from its head at over 4,000 meters high to its foot, currently, 2010, at about 2,400 meters, 2002, 2,315 meters. The Glacier Blanc descends through a height of around 1,600 meters. The firn line on the Glacier Blanc, which separates the accumulation zone from the ablation zone, lies on the northern slopes at a height of about 2,750 meters, and on the southern flanks at about 2,950 meters. The glacier's mass balance, an indicator of its health, has not been fully investigated. The Glacier Blanc drains via the torrent du Glacier Blanc, the Gier, the Gironde, the Durance and finally the Rhône into the Mediterranean Sea. Access from Préacu to Madame Carl and its refuge Cézanne-Hat, where the road from the village of Isle-Freude in the Valoise ends at a large car park. A popular alpine walking trail runs up to the refuge du Glacier Blanc. 2,542 meters, from where the glacier is visible. Around 100 meters lower down the trail passes the ancient refuge Tucket, a small accommodation hut from the end of the 19th century. This primitive hut that, today, is an exhibit, was built immediately next to a large stone slab that had hitherto acted as a camping place from which the area could be explored. The shelter was named the Hotel Tucket, after the alpinist Francis Fox Tucket. 2 hours by foot further on, the refuge des Écrins is situated high above the Glacier Blanc on a prominent rocky pulpit, at a height of 3,170 meters, with expansive views of the area. The hut trail runs for the most part immediately above the glacier and should only be attempted by fully equipped high-altitude alpinists because of the danger of falling into a crevasse. The high alpine base with 119 beds is often overbooked during the peak season. From La Bereda, 1,713 meters, the Alpinist Center in the Ove-Écoute Écoute N. The Glacier Blanc may be reached over the Col des Écrins, 3,367 meters, at the end of the Val de Bonne-Pierre. This is a day's tour at grade PD. The western approach to the col is steep and challenging, although wire cables improve safety in its upper section. On the eastern side, the Glacier Blanc reaches right up to the narrow Wind Gap. Historic development. As with almost all alpine glaciers, the foot of the Glacier Blanc has retreated in earlier times, most recently in 1866. It formed a single glacial system with its southern neighbor, the moraine-covered Glacier Noir, whose streams joined one another above the Pre-Écoute and Madame Col. During the Small Ice Age, the combined ice system reached its maximum extent in 1815 and ended roughly at the height of the Cézanne Hut, 1,874 meters. As of 2010, the tongue of the Glacier Blanc lies at a height of about 2,400 meters. In the 20th century, it is estimated that it retreated by about 1 kilometer, accompanied by a reduction in area of some 2 square kilometers. Between 1989 and 1999 alone, the glacier lost about 210 meters. It retreated a further 300 meters in the years to 2006. The ice thickness in the center reduced during the period from 1981 to 2002 by 13.5 meters, an estimated loss in volume of 70 million cubic meters of ice. Les Cahiers thématiques du Parc National des Écrins, en degré 1 Les Glaciers. PDF. In French. Parc National des Écrins. December 2005. Retrieved 14 October 2010. Hervé Courteau. Marcel Show. July 2005. Le Glacier Blanc. Doc. In French. L'Association des professeurs de biologie et géologie Aix-Marseille. Retrieved 29 September 2010. Contains a good diagram of a longitudinal section through the glacier. Extensive information on the Glacier Blanc at valourimages.com. French. Information about the Glacier Blanc by L'École de Magnières. L'Académie de Nancy Metz. French. Historical study of the Glacier Blanc.